Hello, my name is Karen Andrew. I'd like to welcome you to the James H. Andrew Railroad Museum and History Center. This museum was named after my father. Let's go inside and take a peek. We are now inside the entryway of the museum. Beside me is a picture of my father, James H. Andrew. This was taken at the groundbreaking ceremony, which took place 2 years ago when we actually started this beautiful museum. My father was born and raised in Jefferson. He spent his whole life there. He has been a farmer, but during World War II, he also served as a troop train commander in San Antonio, Texas, before being shipped out to go to the South Pacific. He always liked trains, but it was this time period in San Antonio where he really developed a love affair for railroads. Upon his retirement in the 1980s, Jim decided he would start collecting railroad memorabilia. Well, like most collectors, things got a little out of hand, and he collected over 5,000 railroad items. He was always very enamored with the Boone and Scenic Valley Railroad and thought it would make a great combination to donate his collection here. And when he found out that they were in the process of developing a museum, it was the perfect fit. I'd like to take you inside now so that you can meet our wonderful museum director, Mike Wendell, and he can give you a glimpse of some of the wonderful treasures we have here at the James H. Andrew Railroad Museum.
The James H. Andrew Railroad Museum and History Center has a number of different items for us to see. Several things just off the top. It is our more than 900 volume library. It's a railroad library devoted exclusively to railroading. In addition to a number of different periodicals, we've got about 800 to 900 volumes from hundreds of authors who've written who've written stories about railroading from the beginning of railroading in the nation to up until today. So we're fortunate to have that library as well as a theater. And in this theater we show different videos, the types of interesting things that one would find when they come to the Boone and Scenic Valley in the Iowa Railroad Historical Site. To my left is a donor board. We're so very thankful to those donors who have donated so much to get us started with this museum. We still take donations for operations and special types of things that we need, but we're very, very grateful for those who have been donors, and without them we could have never begun this museum. Depots of Iowa has been a wonderful project here at the James H. Andrew Railroad Museum and History Center. We have 13 banners that tell the story of the origins of Iowa railroading, design of depots, as well as the role of depot station agents. There are a lot of different things from eras from 1890 to 1910 to 1930, 1950, and 1970. Now the banner to my right is about concerns Kate Shelley and her family coming from Ireland. She was born in 1863, and they came across the ocean, of course, and her father became a section hand for the Chicago Northwestern Railroad. When Kate was younger, she was 17 at the time, she was rocketed into stardom, I guess you could say, in history, in Iowa history, for something that she did, and that was she was responsible for saving a number of different lives on the night of July 6th of 1881. It had rained for 3 days beforehand, and she ended up, the Chicago Northwestern had sent the pusher engine, which is like a smaller engine out to test the bridges due to an immense amount of flooding that had occurred, and there was a bridge right next to her house. It ended up that she had heard a crack of the wooden trestle, and there was a hiss of engine and bell ringing, and 4 men went into the river. The Honey Creek Bridge broke. Now, one of the things that, and we hope you can come and see this, you will get an answer as to how she crossed that bridge, even though she didn't cross that bridge, how she got across to stop the midnight special, which was very, very crucial. And we hope by you coming and seeing the James H. Andrew Railroad Museum and History Center that you will get a chance to find out this answer and to see a lot of neat artifacts here. When you come and visit us here at the museum, you will see that we have an indoor recreated depot that was built on a plan from a New England depot. Jim Andrew built this. Took him about 6 months to make, and it's an exact replica of a New England depot, and it is filled with items that you're going to want to see. So let's take a look. Now this New England depot is fascinating because what it does is it highlights all these different items that one would use in those days, say from the 20s or the 30s. Everything from candlestick phones to relays that run a lot of times. We have those running for the public when they're here, and we have inkwells. We have original, say for example, Milwaukee Road artifacts, waybills, everything that you can imagine that would be in a depot, in a working depot. In fact, we even had a retired telegrapher that I had sit down in this chair recently, and he remarked at how authentic this really is. So this is one of the neat things about coming to this museum, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. While visiting the James H. Andrew Railroad Museum and History Center, be sure to check out our Depots of Iowa exhibit. In addition to all the banners that we have as part of it that show and highlight a lot of the details of the history of depots in Iowa, also we have several interactive kiosks of which you will be able to look up some different types of cities that have historical depots, some of which are there still, some of which are not, and we are adding to that all the time. At this time I'd like to introduce Fenner Stevenson, our general manager, and he'll give you a rundown on some history of the James H. Andrew Railroad Museum and History Center.
About 17 years ago, when I started at the railroad here as the general manager, one of the dreams that we had was to someday have a first-class museum in addition to all of our train rides. And over the years we've tried some different things to make this happen, and it just doesn't seem like were quite able to get everything going. Which leads us up to about 3 or 4 years ago that I had a contractor in Boone that came to me and walked in my office one day and threw a set of plans down on my desk, and he said, "Fenner," he says, "we're going to build a museum and we're going to be the ones to do it." And I looked at him and I said, "Eric," I said, "that's really what we'd love to do, but we have no money, and I'm sure you're not going to do this for free." In that fall, along the late summer, early fall, Dick Ross, who's a local person here in Boone, came in my office one day and said, "Fenner," he says, "I know we want to build a museum." And he says, "I've got a gentleman I'd like to have you meet. He lives over at Jefferson, retired farmer. And he said, I'd like to have you go over and meet." Well, it turned out that Jim Andrew had what I would say is probably one of the largest private collections of railroad memorabilia in the United States. All very, very excellent shape, just an outstanding collection. So we talked about it, and finally got the money. The Vision Iowa people went along with us, plus some 150 people from across the United States helped raise the funds so that we could start construction on the building. It took about a year to build. We moved in late May of 2012 and had our grand opening in late June of 2012. And since that time, it has just been absolutely wonderful. Where do we go from here? Well, things keep happening all the time. Jim Andrew ended up buying a Western Union collection, and we've now got that in our collection here. We've had a gentleman come in that has appraised the Western Union equipment, and he said, or display, and he said out of 200 museums that he's worked with and been through, that he thinks this is the finest one that he's ever seen, which really says a lot to our staff and to Mr. Andrew for what he was able to collect over the years. Again, where we go from here, with our enthusiasm and everything, I'm kind of afraid to almost say where we might go from here. The biggest thing yet is still funding. We still owe money on the museum. We still are doing fundraising for the museum, and we hope that we'll get all that, get it all paid off, and then we can look to expand into the future.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our tour of this facility and that you can come back again sometime when you can spend much more time in our museum. And while you're here, Why not catch a train ride too? If you'd like more information, please call us at 1-800-626-0319. Thank you.